All right, navigating the energy markets, understanding the Texas electricity market, grid, things like that, how it works, how it affects your bill. It can be a confusing thing. Ultimately, the Texas energy market is not a ton different, even though it's deregulated. It's the most deregulated market in the world. But even so, compared to really any energy market, if you've got a regulated market like, I don't know, Florida or any other state that doesn't have any competition. There's still dynamics of supply and demand in place that drive what you pay on your bill. In Texas, specifically, it's just a little bit more transparent. It's a little bit more real time. It's designed to create incentives for efficiencies versus the variabilities like natural gas pricing and weather, extreme weather events are going to affect the pricing ultimately the most. But in a regulated market, you don't see that as transparently. It typically, if natural gas prices go crazy and spike, one winter, you're not really going to see the price hike until the next winter. In a deregulated market like Texas, you're going to see that a little quicker, but it's going to pass a lot quicker too. But in a market like Texas, there's incentives to be ready for that, to deal with that more efficiently, to produce alternative forms of generation capacity so that doesn't affect the grid quite as much. There's the other major factor that affects energy prices is, extreme weather events. That can be the biggest one. Obviously, we had one in Texas, the extreme cold winter. That put a lot of companies out of business because they couldn't handle it. We've had the same exact thing up in the Northeast a few winters before that, where the natural gas pipelines froze up. Those are the biggest things that affect your rate. And again, it's just going to happen much quicker in Texas. You're going to see that pass through of the rates going up quicker, and then you get past it quicker in a deregulated market. But at the end of the day, it's supply and demand. Natural gas supply is constrained, prices are going to go up. You have an extreme weather event that knocks out a natural gas plant or a group of power plants or pipelines, whatever, prices are going to go up. It's just a matter of how transparently that's happening. The beauty in a deregulated market like Texas is that there's choice, there's incentives for efficiencies, there's incentives for taking a chance and providing other generation capacity that wouldn't be there in a regulated market. Understanding some of the things that you actually see on your energy bill, whether you can control it or not, like the tariffs, recovery charges, taxes, and fees. Ultimately, you don't have a ton of control on that. You do want to understand your electricity fax label of what you should be charged on there and what might be just kind of like a disguised fee. Because what a lot of companies will do in Texas specifically is they'll try to make it look like things are on your bill that are outside of their control, that are not a part of their actual charges or fees. When in actuality, there's taxes, there's like recovery charges and fees, that kind of gets grouped together. Then there's supply and delivery. Ultimately, taxes and things like that, recovery charges, and your delivery are fixed no matter what, no matter who you choose as your energy supplier. That's not going to change. You're going to pay the exact amount for that as you would with anybody. So what companies sometimes kind of try and do is play this game of making it look like, well, some of these line items on your bill are actually not a part of the supply that you have a choice on. It's actually a fixed part of the bill. And in actuality, it is a part of supply. The thing you want to look for is there's a little line on every bill that it says exactly the average price you paid for electricity service this month is X amount per kilowatt hour. That cuts through the clutter. That's your apples to apples comparison with your neighbor, with your coworker, that you can say, look, who's getting a better deal, who's not. That's what you want to look for. And that, ultimately accounts for everything. So taxes, supply, and delivery. So it factors in all the stuff that's fixed that you're going to pay no matter what, and the stuff you have a choice on. So ultimately, what you have a choice on it's going to be baked into that all-in price is what we would call it, as an all-in price. And you compare the all-in price that you have with what your neighbor has, then you know who's got the better deal, the better company, the better plan. So those are just a couple of things to kind of understand the deregulated market of Texas, and really outside of Texas, and how that kind of affects your bill and in different ways.